There's many ways to say the exact same story. One, what's the most simple differentiator? The structure of the story. If you look at what you said, what's the structure? I said this, then I said this, then I said this, then I said this. You can play around with the structure to make things more interesting too. If you put this piece here and that piece there, very different. And you must learn and understand that on a more logical level. And this can't put you in your head, by the way, so you got to master the vibe first. But once that's the default, then it's playing around with this and being like, okay, well, how could I perfect it? I do this with public speaking. Even this little bit here, guess what? I'm going to watch it on the recording and analyze how I explained it. And as I analyze it, in terms of the structure, I'm going to ask myself, how could it have been better structured? Oh, maybe if I said this bit here. Maybe if I started with a story and then led into that concept, so on and so forth. Many different ways. Even in terms of different threads of a conversation, people tend to go very logical. They're like, here's story number one. It starts, it hooks, it ends. It starts, it hooks, it ends. And you go story to story to story, as opposed to going, as we call, multiple threading and having many stories going at the same time. I always joke, it's like the Marvel movies. Whether you like those or not, they are the best at multiple threading. Here's Hero 1 and Hero 2, Hero 3 and Hero 4, Hero 5 and Hero 6. And there's all these stories happening at the same time, and the whole movie's jumping between the different storylines. That should be your conversation. Instead of, here's story number one. Actually, it also makes me think of this. Oh, back to story number one. Back to story number three now. Oh, and back to story number two. Multiple threading. Sucks people in and makes something much more captivating. But it has to come after the vibe. If you're someone, once more, who's just very limp, just like, hey, so here's the story number one and story number two, then you're just going to bore people with 3 terrible stories, boring stories. I'll do more harm than good. Everyone's like, just end your first story and go away. So this comes after, but multiple threading is key. The same with the structure being a little bit more ADD, interrupting yourself. You don't have to finish everything. There's a lot of times if I'm talking to someone, I might be starting a story and I'm seeing, you know what, with this specific person, it's just not resonating. I don't need to finish it. I'll just change the topic to another story. So by the way, oh, actually, you know there's this other thing, and I'll just change it like that. Changing around, jumping around, whether it's done in multiple threadings, you can jump back to it. And it will also, by the way, help you not run out of things to say. Because if you end one story instead of what's next, you just jump back to a previous one you were in the middle of. Always have many stories you're in the middle of. You can just jump back around to. Okay? So I'll do that a lot, and I'll just jump around and find one that clicks. And some I'll never go back to, and that's fine. Also, in terms of the structure, the more ADD and the more disconnected your stories are, this creates what we call an emotional spike in someone. Meaning, if I'm talking, I'm like, hey, so San Francisco, that's cool. You know, by the way, do you dance? And it's like, wait, what? Dancing in San Francisco? What's the link? If there's no logical link, it gets both of you more focused on the emotional side. It's like, wait, what? It's very different, right? Hey, nice to meet you. Do you like math? Wait, what? Math? What? It's like, wait, what? And then again, and it doesn't have to be, people always think, oh, you got to be very polarizing in terms of what you say. Not necessarily. You can say the most bland and boring things, but if there isn't always a link between them, an emotional spike. So all that is in the structure, something to play around with.